seems worlds have finally collided and the realms of Mortal Kombat and the DC Universe have merged. There's nothing left to do now apart from sit back, kick ass and enjoy yourself, but is the new Mortal Kombat title worth it? Well, it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're entirely new to the beat-em-up genre, you'll find Mortal Kombat Vs DC Universe to be a solid game with interesting characters, nice effects and some well thought out dynamics. If you're a veteran to the series, you'll be having fun with this one for ages, but don't expect a massive leap forward. It's business as usual for Midway. The first thing deserving mention is the character modelling. Midway are playing with some massive characters for the first time here, so they've really stepped it up a gear. Each character is superbly detailed and faithful to the expectations of even the most die-hard fans. It's also nice to see characters showing the damage they're taking as the fight goes on. It's torn costumes and bloody noses a go-go. Each DC character's fighting style is tailored to suit and they all work exceedingly well. Current favourite around the game on Office is the Joker, whose special moves pack some serious punch. Even the voice acting for story mode is authentic and, dare we say, even believable? Surely a must for a Mortal Kombat title.
Not tonight, honey. I have a headache.
As for the gameplay itself, for the most part it's your standard dose of button bashing, grunting action. Overall, the button layout is better suited to the PS3 version. The clunky D-pad on the Xbox doesn't lend itself all that well to precise special move combos, so until you get the hang of using the analog stick, it's a bit hit and miss, literally. But before you die-hard Mortal Kombatants get complacent, there are still a few new combat features we need to cover. The first is free-fall combat. When you and your opponent take a dive off a higher tier of an environment, the game dynamic changes. The person that's on top starts hammering buttons and their opponent's face. If the one on the bottom manages to match these button presses, they change position. Whoever's on the bottom at the end of the fall takes the brunt of it. Messy. Along similar lines is the close combat option. The camera pulls right in to up the brutality and show off the superb character detail. The underdog has to match their assailant's button presses to garner themselves a successful counter before their face gets totally rearranged. Also worth mentioning is Rage Mode. When you've built up enough anger, you can release what basically looks like a big old flaming fart, meaning for a limited period your attacks do more damage and you recover from getting hit more quickly. Your rage builds with the damage you take, meaning this feature can be used to turn the tide of even the most tricky battles. These new features may not seem like much, but they've proven to be a truly refreshing addition to the world of Mortal Kombat, adding a different kind of competitive element based on understanding your opponent, rather than just mashing the controller. So that's gameplay sorted, but what about the story mode? Again, veterans will find it's much the same as always, a series of fairly interesting cutscenes, separating fights with other characters, then a bit more plot development. As with the game in general though, the addition of DC has given it a much needed kick up the backside. You get the sense that Midway are simply trying harder with this one. At the start of play you get to choose your side, meaning you can tailor the gaming experience to suit your taste. Each story mode is also pretty drastically different from the other, ensuring there's a good amount of replay value here. Arcade mode is of course present, providing you with the classic gauntlet style combat that's been a staple of Mortal Kombat games from the very beginning. Don't expect to see any of the disastrous modes like kart racing making a return after Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Thankfully those have been put to bed. Upsettingly, one thing you also shouldn't expect too much of is the gratuitous gore that's characterised recent Mortal Kombat releases. Fatalities have been dialed down a few notches, becoming relatively tame finishes instead. It's a frustrating but understandable reality to face up to. It probably wouldn't have gone down too well with the chaps at DC if gamers were ripping Batman's spine out of his backside. So, ultimately, what can we conclude? As expected, this is a solid Mortal Kombat title with all the bells and whistles that have made it such a long-standing series. The only problem is, it's a series that has been simply chugging along for the last few titles. Given the rate at which games are advancing at the moment, we're wondering how long they can really get away with it. Luckily for us, the injection of the excellently represented DC Universe is novel enough to keep us happy and make this game well worth a look in.